please welcome the 2013 Apple Blossom Festival royalty, Queen Emily Abbott, Princess Maddie Still, and Princess Maggie Chavilacek.
I wasn't looking for this, but now you're in my way. Your stare was holding, ripped jeans, skin was showing. Hot night, wind was blowing. Where you think you're going, baby?
Driving last Friday on her way to Cincinnati on a snow-white Christmas Eve. Going home to see her mama and her daddy with the baby in the backseat.
Gonna open up the doors and turn it up. Gonna stomp my boots in the Georgia mud. Gonna watch you make me fall in love. Get up on the hood of my daddy's tractor. Up on the toolbox, it don't matter. Down on the tailgate, girl, I can't wait to watch you do your thing. Shake it for the young bucks sitting in the honky tonks. For the rednecks rocking till the break of dawn. The DJ singing that country song. Come on, come on, come on. Shake it for the bears, shake it for the bees. Shake it for the catfish swimming down deep in the creek. For the crickets and the critters and the squirrels. Shake it to the moon, shake it for me, girl. Oh, country girl, shake it for me, girl. Shake it for me, girl. Shake it for me. Country girl, shake it for me, girl. Shake it for me, girl. Shake it for me. 'Cause baby, you a song and you make me wanna hold my. Oh, baby, you a song, you make me wanna roll my window down. Cool, let the back roll blowing, stop
sorry. You tell your dog about my lady. I'll tell you brother Chris, whose fish can tell my lip. They never really liked me anyway. Say you in the least, tell me anything you please. I said I'm letting you know I'm all ready. Hey, you tell my eyes, you watch out for my man. He might be walking out on me today. Don't tell my heart, my achy, breaky heart. I just don't think he'd understand. Hey, if you tell my heart, my achy, breaky heart, he might blow up and kill this man. Don't tell my heart, my achy, breaky heart, I just don't think he'd understand. Hey, if you tell my heart, my achy, breaky heart, he might blow up and kill this man. Don't tell my heart, my achy, breaky heart, I just don't think he'd understand. And if you tell my heart, my achy, breaky heart, he might blow up and kill this man.
The Wenatchee Central Lions Club proudly presents Country Rocks, and here are your MCs for the evening. Wenatchee's own Brad Paisley and Carrie Underwood, Anthony McCarty and Amber Glenn.
You got that suntan skirt and boots.
Howdy, y'all.
Let's give a great big yeehaw to our listeners live on legworkprm.com. 1, 2, 3, yeehaw!
Now, how about that opening number with our dancers from Dance Creations and our cowboy escorts from Wenatchee and Eastmont High Schools?
Amber, I thought it was awesome. You know, it even made me want to break out into song. Baby, you a song, you make me want to roll my windows down.
Ah, Anthony, I didn't know you liked country music so much.
You know, I love it. You know, first of all, there's nothing like playing a good country song backwards. First, you get your wife back, then you get your dog back, then you get your truck back, and then finally you get out of jail. And, as you guys know, those are in no particular order.
Okay, that's a good one, Anthony. That's a good one. You know, when they told us that we were going to be Brad Paisley and Carrie Underwood tonight, I was really nervous. I mean, they are huge country music stars, and they're really funny.
You know, they are. They are. I don't think as funny as us, though.
Oh, okay.
No worries, we've got this. And if we don't, we've always got someone in the pit with applause and laughter signs for us as well.
Okay, here goes. We're gonna be funny. Here goes. We're gonna be funny. Okay. Now, Anthony, you haven't lived here for very long, so what do you think about the Wenatchee Valley?
You know, Amber, I love it. I really do. It's my favorite place in the entire state of Washington. It's gorgeous. You've got 300 days of sunshine. You've got the mountains, the views, the Columbia River, the loop and the trails. You really can't beat it. But there is one thing, though.
What's that?
It's really tough to get directions around here.
Oh, okay. Like what?
Well, my wife mentioned to me the other day that there's a new Marshall's coming into town. So I was kind of wondering where it was going to be, so I asked around.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be in East Wenatchee, right next to the old Butcheries in the old Ernst parking lot.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about, right? So another scenario is I wanted to start working out at Mountain View Fitness. So I was talking to a lady I work with, and she told me that it's in the old Top Foods building. So I said, you mean where Hobby Lobby is? And she said, no, the old Top Foods building across from Safeway.
Yeah, well, Wenatchee directions can be a bit tricky sometimes.
Yeah, and here's another example. So I wasn't feeling very good a while back, and somebody referred me to the Eye and Ear Clinic on Rondo Street. So I went to Rondo Street, I walked in, and they said, no, it's up on Red Apple Road. So I walk into the clinic up on Red Apple Road, and they said that I should go to Confluence Health. So I thought, finally, this is it. I'm just going to put it into my GPS. It'll take me right there. And I ended up at a state park on the north end of town. Like, can you not just give me a street name and an address?
Yep, so instead of ending up at Confluence Health, you ended up at Confluence State Park out by the new bridge.
Isn't the new bridge the one in East Wenatchee?
No, that's the new bridge.
Hashtag Wenatchee directions.
Yes, so here we go with the hashtags again. I mean, last year I could hardly keep up with all the social media stuff, but this year I've got it, and I am on fire.
This girl is on fire!
Yes, yes. Okay, so now if you haven't done so already, get out your phones and check in for tonight's event and tag your neighbor. If you're on Twitter, use hashtag Apple Blossom Pageant.
Now, turn those phones on silent and let's get this party started.
So, do you have your phone? Because
you
if
know
you
what?
have your phone, I mean, real quick, we need to get the phone out and take a selfie.
Yeah, and I'm glad you asked me that because I didn't actually turn my phone on silent, so that's good.
See?
All right, one sec. So technically, though, Amber, when it's more than one person, it's an ussie.
Oh, I did not. No.
So once again, ladies and gentlemen, our Facebook and Twitter pages will be updated live by social media guru Corey Corfiatis from Legwork Software. Tonight, Numerica Credit Union is here as tonight's pageant sponsor. From Numerica Credit Union, please welcome Business Development Manager Janet McNeely. East Wenatchee Branch Supervisor Michelle Oakes, Wenatchee Branch Manager Sharon Cook, and Wenatchee Member Services Representative Robin Schaefer. Thank you again to Numerica for all your support.
Our festival would not be possible without the support of our wonderful sponsors and the enthusiasm of the Board of Directors who devote their blood, sweat, and tears to our community. They work year-round to provide a world-class experience as the Pacific Northwest premier festival. The 2014 festival theme is Livin' the Dream. So please welcome our own Patsy Cline, Loretta Lynn, Dolly Parton, and Reba McEntire all in one, Director General Pat McDonald and her husband Jim.
And tonight, let's also welcome the Festival Board of Directors, working more, a lot more, than 9 to 5. Kelly Atwood, Debbie Gernard, Ken Boyle, Kurt Ulrich, Mark Lewis, Chelsea Ewer, Cece Wood, Dave Harold. And also on the board, working backstage, are Lion Amy Mowbray, Lion Jeremy Anders, and standing next to me, the lovely Lion Amber Glenn. The Wenatchee Applearians are the official hosting organization of the Apple Blossom Festival. They provide the Queen's $6,000 scholarship, participate in all festival activities, and accompany the royalty to parades throughout the Northwest all summer long. Since they are always on the road again, please welcome our own Willie Nelson, Applearian Chancellor, Rolf Ogle, and Lady Pat.
Will you please welcome the rest of the Applearians, or roadies as we like to call them, as they stand to be recognized.
The Wenatchee Central Lions Club is directing tonight's show, and this is their 49th year in doing so. This team of Lions puts in countless hours of planning, set building, and rehearsals to make this a night to remember. Let's hear a big roar for Lions Vice President Jim Audison.
And once again, we would like to thank the Coast Wenatchee Hotel for providing the accommodations for the judges and pageant activities. It's Wenatchee's own Opryland Hotel. Representing the Coast Hotel, please welcome Ken Boyle.
You may have seen this driving around town recently, and the Royal Stagecoach this year is a 2014 GMC Acadia Denali. This top-of-the-line vehicle driven by the royalty chaperones, will chauffeur the royalty to and from over 180 different appearances. Please welcome General Sales Manager Corey Sangster from Sangster Motors.
And joining us tonight, our Little Cowgirls, the reigning 2013 Apple Blossom Junior Royalty. The Junior Royalty Program is sponsored by Dr. Kara Schroeder Children's Dentistry. Let's welcome Queen Abby Wilt and Princesses Isabel Hyde and Metzley Gonzalez.
So Amber, I've also noticed another little thing about Wenatchee. There seem to be a lot of long-standing families in this valley. It seems that a lot of the people are related to each other. And you know, people always joke about the Deep South and how everybody's related. Well, you know, Wenatchee's kind of that way too. It kind of reminds me of the 6 degrees of separation thing. You know, where how everyone can be related to each other in six steps or less.
Yeah, or like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Basically, all actors can be related to Kevin Bacon in 6 degrees or less. Like, for example, somebody give me a name.
Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, okay, Ellen DeGeneres, who was in Dr. Dolittle with Stephen Gilborn, who was in He Said, She Said with Kevin Bacon. Okay, another one.
Will Ferrell.
Ooh, I like Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan's a good one. Ronald Reagan was in The Young Doctors with Eddie Albert, who was in The Big Picture with Kevin Bacon.
Okay, I think we need one more. Bruno Mars. Look at that. Bruno Mars was in Honeymoon in Vegas with Sarah Jessica Parker, who was in Footloose with Kevin Bacon.
Huh. Interesting. So now we're going to do a Wenatchee version of 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. We're going to take famous people who have a connection to the Wenatchee Valley and tie them to Kevin Bacon. Now, we tried to stick to country music stars since our theme tonight is country rocks, but there may be a rap star or professional athlete thrown in there as well. Then we will relate that famous person to someone in our festival family.
Candidate speeches have been a judged portion of Pageant for over 55 years. 1 month ago, our candidates were given the speech topic, YOLO, which means you only live once. They will share with us tonight what YOLO means for them.
So let's get started with our own version of 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Let's go ahead and call it, though, the 6 degrees of apple bacon.
Kevin Bacon was in Mystic River with Jose Ramon Rosario, who was in Get Him to the Greek with Christina Aguilera, who was on The Voice with Blake Shelton. Blake Shelton's publicist, Tree Payne, is married to Lance Payne, a Wenatchee High School graduate and the son of Bob and Nita Payne. Bob and their other son, Ben, took on a new adventure and were our funnel cake vendors at Memorial Park last year, and they were the best funnel cakes ever. Here to share her views about her adventures, please welcome candidate Caroline Dahl.
There was once a small hobbit who enjoyed his everyday life in the comfort of his home, the Shire, eating cheese and enjoying lovely cups of tea, until one day, fate came upon him and a very important ring was placed in his possession. He then had to decide whether to travel outside the Shire's limits for the first time in his life, or stay home and let the world fall apart. Frodo chose to set out on an adventure to save Middle-earth. The wise wizard Gandalf once said, "All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us." We as humans in America have the freedom to live our lives however we choose. The average person has 27,375 days to make the most of their life. Every one of you in here is a descendant of pioneers, explorers, or treasure hunters. Adventure runs through our blood. No person is meant to be aimlessly making their way through life with their eyes closed. Since we all only live once, why not make our lives an exciting adventure as Frodo did? An adventure can come in many different shapes and sizes. An adventure is more than just traveling from point A to point B. It's an experience with hard work, risk, obstacles, and hopefully rewarding results. Whatever your adventure encompasses, Having an adventurous outlook on life is needed in order to become the best person you are capable of being. While Frodo received his call to adventure by inheriting the One Ring from his uncle Bilbo, I received my call to adventure in a letter inviting me to run for Apple Blossom Royalty. My first thought was, yes, of course I'll run for Apple Blossom Royalty. I've been waiting for this moment my whole life. Of course, I had my doubts. Frodo had his doubts too in the beginning. He didn't think that a little furry-footed hobbit like himself could change the course of Middle-earth. However, Frodo decided to toss aside the comfort of his life and burden himself with the future of all people in Middle-earth. Like Frodo, I decided to toss away the risk of failure and pursue my dream of becoming Apple Blossom Royalty, because after all, I only live once, and therefore I have one chance to do this. The act of rising to the challenges of life, large or small, is what truly bestows greatness upon a person. By backing down from a challenge, nobody ever achieved anything worthwhile. I may not be throwing the One Ring to rule them all into the flames of Mount Doom, and the obstacles I run into may not be orcs trying to capture me, or ring wraiths chasing me all around Wenatchee, but rather obstacles like trying to find enough time to complete my homework while still getting enough sleep at night. And although I may not have wizards, dwarves, and beautiful elves helping me along the way, I do have beautiful people, such as my chaperones, making sure I'm always prepared for my next appearance, and my Gandalf-like parents who give me words of encouragement when I feel as if I can't possibly get everything done in time. In our everyday lives, we are in need of Frodo-like heroes who are willing to give up bits of their lives for the sake of others. Like the volunteers who work so hard year-round in order to make the Apple Blossom Festival possible. And though their stories may never be written into books and songs, those whose lives they touch will forever remember their acts of kindness. Since we all only live once, why not make our lives an exciting adventure as Frodo? Why not live our lives as one epic journey, full of unimaginable amounts of perils, obstacles, and joys?
Kevin Bacon was in the movie Balto with Danny Mann, who was in Cars with Larry the Cable Guy. Larry the Cable Guy, on his recent visit to Wenatchee for his stand-up comedy show, spent the day down at Stick's House of Cigars with the amazing Mark Lewis. Here to tell us about some amazing children that have taught her a valuable lesson, please welcome candidate Nakara Morgan.
When you walk through the halls of Seattle Children's Hospital, your heart automatically sinks. 3-year-olds carrying teddy bears as they drag oxygen tanks behind them. 10-year-olds in permanent wheelchairs decorated in their favorite sport team's colors. Little girls with no hair. Little boys who can't communicate verbally. The list goes on and on. The tragedies of these children's lives are visible the moment you see them. The saying, "you only live once," is a very real reality for some of these children. Children's Hospital is a place I'm very familiar with, and you might be asking yourself why. You might have never guessed that from how I look on the outside, just your typical high school girl, that I have juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, otherwise known as JRA. And it is through my experiences at Children's Hospital that I've learned the true meaning of the saying, "you only live once." My life is different than other teenagers. I take daily medication and get monthly infusions, but that's my life. Just like my red hair, arthritis is part of who I am. And it is through my illness and my visits to Children's Hospital that I've learned you do only live once, but it's up to you to make the best of it. Living with a chronic illness hasn't always been easy, but I realize how truly blessed I am. While at Children's, I often see patients playing with toys, joking with nurses, or even laughing at their favorite TV show. I am constantly inspired by their optimistic attitudes and their strong desire to make the best out of their given situation. It would be easy to say that once I was diagnosed, I could use JRA as a crutch in my life. Typed instead of handwritten papers, a backpack on wheels, Velcro shoes, even an elevator pass at school. All offered to me, but that's not who I am. Arthritis has taught me to adapt to what life throws at you. One of my favorite quotes comes from J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter, and it reads, "Happiness can be found in even the darkest of times if only one remembers to turn on the light." We as individuals have the choice to live our lives to the fullest and make the best out of any given situation. Yes, I have arthritis, but I also have a loving family, an amazing group of friends, and I've been fortunate enough to grow up in the beautiful valley of Wenatchee. I love dancing to the Mamma Mia soundtrack with my best friend. I love singing Whitney Houston songs at the top of my lungs. I love baking and pretending I have my very own cooking show. And I have dreams to one day move to New York City and work in the entertainment industry. I can do all of these things because I don't allow my illness to define who I am. Life is what you make of it, and the patients at Children's Hospital are the ones who have taught me this. You do only live once, and I've decided to make the best of it.
Kevin Bacon was in Cave Dweller with Paul Brogren, who was in Half Baked with Willie Nelson. Surprise, surprise. Willie and friends had a concert here in Wenatchee at Paul Thomas Field in 2001. Concert organizers took a risk, but it paid off in the end, and Willie's show was a huge hit. Willie even sent a special thank you note to concert organizers Dan Goodfellow and our own Darcy Waterman. Here to tell us about taking her own risks, please welcome candidate Lupe Martinez.
About 1 month ago, I was on this same stage. I can't describe to you what it felt like to be on it. The moment I put a step on the stage, it felt like a dream. I started walking without people looking at me. At that moment, I felt like the bravest girl in the world. When I was giving my speech, I knew this was my time to let people know who I truly am. I spoke with my heart. My legs were shaking, I am not going to lie. But at that moment, it did not matter because I knew this was my time. Throughout the whole day, people did not stop complimenting me on how brave I was. And that is when I realized I would only live this day once. The term YOLO, also known as you only live once, is used by many people as an everyday word or phrase. Young people, for example, they use it as an excuse to back up any bad or risky decisions that they make, not realizing that later on they might regret it. They use it believing that they can do anything they want because they only live once. However, those bad risky decisions bring consequences at the end. Consequences that end up affecting them instead of helping them. You only live once should not be the cause of why people make bad decisions. It should be the cause of why people take risks to accomplish their dreams, to fight for what they want, or to make a better life. Like me, for example, I take risks to fight for what I want. Although I do not always get the results I want, I know my fighting was worth it, because one way or another, I always learn something new. I know that at this time, I am striving for what I want. I know that no matter what the result is, I will have done something new in my life. When I am older, I know I will look back to the night when I was announced to be among the top 10. I will look back to that night because it made me feel one step closer to my dream. When I started hearing all those claps, when I saw my parents' proudness reflected on their eyes, I knew I had accomplished something big. That day, as well as this night, I will remember with pride. As I grow older, I know I will look back to both that day as well as this night, and will probably say to myself, wow, I am so thankful that I went for what I wanted, rather than say, wow, I wonder what would have happened if I had gone for it. This night will only happen once in my life, and that is why today I am enjoying every hour, minute, and second of it. Life is full of surprises, both good and bad. However, it is up to you how you handle it and how you get up. You are always given two options in life. It is either you let obstacles bring you down, or you defeat those obstacles and move on. Think of it this way. You're given the opportunity to live a life that you will eventually have to let go. So whenever you feel like your life is not worth it, think twice. You probably have many things to be thankful for. You just got to open your eyes. Life is beautiful, and you're only given one, so why waste it? Do not let anything bring you down. Take risks. Smile to life. Make others happy. Make yourself happy. Enjoy your life. Love and appreciate what you are given, because you only live once.
Kevin Bacon was in Footloose with John Lithgow, who was in Ricochet with rapper Ice-T. Ice-T started a movie called Surviving the Game, which was filmed in Wenatchee. Many locals were cast as extras in the movie, including our own Jennifer Williams Devereaux. Wow, that was a different world with all that hair. Maybe I can get that on Redbox. What do you think?
Yeah.
Here to tell us how she embraces being different, please welcome candidate Katie Hoig.
From the time we're about the age of 4 and up into early adulthood, we, the youth of the planet, are constantly asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? What kind of career do you want to have? What do you want to do for the rest of your life? This is a scary question because a lot of times the answer is unknown, or we're afraid that our answer will be rejected by the person who is asking. You only live once, so sometimes it seems like you must find the answer to this question as soon as possible and never change your mind. However, this is untrue. For one, let's just say that if I'd stuck with the answer I chose the first time I was asked this question, I would be in a pretty interesting place right now. I was about 3 years old when I was first asked the infamous, what do you want to be when you grow up question. I was in a room with my dad, my older sister, and our dog, Walter von Mauschenschnauzer, or Wally for short. My dad turned to me and he asked, Katie, what do you want to be when you grow up? Me, being the creative thinker I am, looked around the room and focused on my dog, Wally. I thought about how great his life was. He got treats all the time, he could play whenever he wanted, and everyone loved him. So I turned to my dad and I said, Dad, I want to be a dog when I grow up. My sister scoffed at my response and exclaimed, a dog? You can't be a dog. I questioned her, well, why not? Wally's a dog. Then she decided to break the news to me and say, well, Wally's always been a dog. And that was the first time I experienced being told my dreams weren't very plausible or, well, possible. Once I learned that my dog days were over, I decided maybe I should become a veterinarian because that's about as close as you can get to being a dog, right? Well, my mind kept changing, and soon I wanted to be an archaeologist and then a biologist until I took a biology class I did not particularly enjoy, and then I was stuck. I had no idea what my future looked like, and so I dreaded any time someone asked me the question because I had no response. Coincidentally, during this time of my life, I was also struggling with discovering who I really was. As long as I can remember, I've always enjoyed being different from everyone. I did not care if I stood out in the way that I dressed or in the way that I acted. In fact, I felt weird if I blended in with everyone. But about the time I started high school, I began to notice how people made fun of me or friendships started to drift apart because I did not fit the mold of what a high school girl should be. So I thought maybe something was wrong with me after all, so I pretended to be like everyone else. I bought all the clothes that were considered cool, and I really started to care what people thought of me. I soon learned, however, that walking down the hallways dressed like every other girl actually made me even more uncomfortable than before. I learned then that even if I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, at least I knew I didn't want to be like everyone else. Once I came to this realization, I decided to start focusing on what I could make a potential career out of. I started to panic because I really did not know. I have an amazing group of friends, and each friend of mine is incredibly talented at something. I thought about this, and I felt talentless. I mean, I had friends who were astounding artists, amazing athletes, complete geniuses when it comes to math or science, magnificent musicians, and then there was me. Sure, there were a few things I was good at, but there was always someone who was better. I felt like I didn't know what my purpose was, or who I really was for that matter. It took me years, but eventually I realized you only live once. Everyone only lives once. You cannot compare your life to someone else's because it is your life to live, and they are living their own. I then came out of a slump I had put myself into and realized what I actually had a passion for. I just sat down and thought about what I'd always been interested in, and then it hit me. Hello! I have been fascinated with foreign countries and cultures since I was young, but I was so focused on other people's lives that I didn't even realize my own interests until I was 17. I then decided to start taking Spanish and Japanese in school, and guess what? I was actually successful in it. And the best part of all was that there was no one else I could compare myself to because no one else is crazy enough to take 2 foreign language classes at once. And here I am today, blessed by all the amazing opportunities I have been given growing up in this valley to discover who I am. I now want to get my master's degree in international relations and apply to work for the CIA when I grow up. But that doesn't really matter. Instead of living life with the end in mind, I have learned to take each day at a time in order to discover myself and what life is really all about. If I were able to do it all over again, maybe I would decide to be a cat instead of a dog from the very beginning. But you can't do it all over. You only live once. So why not take each day at a time and focus on discovering yourself? In doing so, you can slowly turn your life into your dream. After all, who would want to live anything less than their dream? You only live once, so make it into your dream and live it.
Kevin Bacon was in Picture Perfect with Greg Grunberg, who was in the movie Basketball with Kenny Mayne. ESPN's Kenny Mayne was the quarterback for the Wenatchee Valley College Knights football team in 1978. Kenny's coach was Sandy Cooprider, whose daughter Lisa lived the dream and was Apple Blossom Princess in 1988. Here to tell us about living her dream, please welcome candidate Amber Frodsham.
Y-O-L-O. This is your speech topic. When I first heard someone say YOLO, I couldn't figure out what it meant. So I sat down trying to decode the acronym. Yams obviously look orange? No. That doesn't make any sense. How about you only love Oreos? Well, that sounds a little more realistic, but why would everyone be walking around saying that? So eventually I asked a friend, what does YOLO mean? She laughed and said, you only live once. I laughed and said, well, that's kind of redundant. I mean, of course you only live once. I had no idea this wasn't an already well-known fact. As I thought this over, I began to realize that YOLO can be used as an excuse for people to do crazy and irrational things, like Justin Bieber, or even Miley Cyrus. But for me, it was much more. If I only live once, then I want to go to college, get my law degree, meet the love of my life, and start a family. I want to live my life as if there's no tomorrow. I moved to this valley when I was 7, and it was the first time I got to experience the Apple Blossom Festival, with the yummy food fair, the fun carnival, and of course, the parade. I remember the first time I saw them. The royalty! Standing on the float, so graceful and almost angelic. I remember thinking, one day, I want that to be me. I want to be just like them. And ever since then, I've worked hard with that dream in mind. If I only live once, then I want to live the dream, so I'm always looking for ways to better myself. Over the summer, I chose to start eating a vegan diet, which means I couldn't eat anything that came from an animal. This was hard, because you really have to learn to discipline yourself to make smarter choices. And there were times where I had almost given up. But over the course of 3 months, I lost 50 pounds. Now you may be thinking, she doesn't look like the typical pageant girl. And that may be true. Since becoming one of the top 10 candidates, there have been times when that has been made painfully clear to me. And that really hurts. But I just have to remember who I am and what I have accomplished so far. If I only live once, then I want to inspire other little girls just like me to run in the future. I want them to know you don't have to be tall or wear a size 2. You just have to be you. Someday, I want to get married and start a family here in the valley. I want my kids to experience this beautiful place I call home. I want them to boat down the Columbia River, hike Saddle Rock, experience the 4 beautiful seasons, lose their voices at the Wild Games, and of course, the festival. I want them to see all the beauty and to also call this magical place home. If I only live once, then I want that to be right here. The place that has shaped me into the woman who I am today. My heart will always be here in Wenatchee.
Kevin Bacon was in